Okay, in this video, I'm working with Nala. This is Nala. She's invisible. It's really a superpower she has. No, Nala is a very fearful dog, and she's fearful of a lot of sounds. And so she's gonna watch us from the couch and not participate. You can actually pan over the couch so everybody sees the beautiful Nala girl. Yeah, that's you, Nala. Yeah. All right, so what we're gonna be doing here is a little bit of desensitization and counter conditioning. Now, I would have treats, and I tested this with a knock. This is not a prime stimulus that she reacts to, but sometimes she does. So I'm gonna kind of play all the parts in this thing. So what I would do is we wanna basically introduce the stimulus. In this case, the stimulus is gonna be a knock at the door at a low enough level of intensity so that she does not bark, but she hears what's going on. Now, I lower the intensity, I mentioned off camera, by decreasing the volume, slowing down the speed, or increasing the distance. Sometimes I do the increasing the distance if I'm trying to turn down the volume and I don't have control over, like a UPS truck, for example. So if I knock like the police, most dogs are gonna bark. Nala, I think, is fearful, which is why she's not barking. So that would be the full bore of the stimulus. So what I would do, and let's say this is Nala. So I have my treat pouch here. So I would go, give Nala a treat. Give Nala a treat. Give Nala a treat. Now I'm going faster than I probably would when I'm doing with Nala. You want to gradually make the stimulus a little bit more intense, but not so intense that the dog reacts. So the dog reacts, that's the last thing we're looking for. She can react by lifting her head up, looking, her ears flip around. She barks, grumbles, or growls. A grumble, I guess, would be okay. A growl would mean we're probably getting pretty close. A bark was definitely too much. So I want to, it might be just like, can't even hear it. And eventually a little bit more, and eventually I'm doing a single pound so hard that my knuckles hurt. Then I'm gonna go to 2. Treat, treat, and gradually increase the volume. And Nala's like, what are you doing over there, weirdo? Yeah, we're talking about you, pretty girl. So the idea is eventually, let's say people knock 4 times or whatever it is, you're gonna gradually work her up there. Now I'm going light speed fast. When you're doing this might be, you might do 7 or 8 of these and stop. And then give her a little bit of rest and practice again. Now, and you gotta kind of try to remember where you were at with the intensity level. So you might keep a little journal. Now, let's say some of the other things, one of the main things that she had a problem with was there was a fire alarm that went off, a chirping, and it was new when she came into the house, if I remember correctly. Is that right? Or just happened recently?
Just recently,
okay.
Actually.
And she couldn't get away from it. And it's a high pitch, and dogs hear a lot of sound and notes that we can't hear. So she tried to get away from it, but she's in an apartment. She couldn't move that far away, so she kind of parked herself on the couch where you guys have seen her before. And so what we would do for that is get a recording of that sound. Now we can do this a couple ways. My preferred way of doing it is playing it through like a boom speaker, and you can play it through your phone at first, but the fidelity on a phone is nowhere near the real life fidelity, and dogs' hearing is much better than ours. So I like to have a speaker where I thought I saw a boom or something like that. You guys have an MP3 speaker. Yeah. So play that at low enough volume. If she stops eating her food, it's too loud. If she leaves the room, it's too loud. So you might be literally playing it, you can kind of hear a little jazz, very light, so quiet she can hear it, but it doesn't cause her to be disturbed. And then basically she's eating her meal while she's hearing this sound. Then we play maybe 1 or 2 more meals at that same volume, and then if she seems pretty comfortable, then we raise it a little bit, a half step. And then she's eating the food. Eventually, it sounds like the fire alarm is going off and she's like, I don't even hear it anymore. I'm just eating, just like if we live next to a train station or an airport. After a while, your brain filters those things out. That's called desensitization. And so desensitization is just hearing it a lot where you become ambivalent to it. Ambivalent? I don't think that's a word. Indifferent to it. This, what I was showing you here, is counter conditioning. So normally a knock causes the dog to bark. We're lowering the intensity and providing the stimulus and then providing a positive reinforcement afterwards. So now the knock at the door means I get a treat. The beeping of the sound happens at the same time I'm eating my food, also counter conditioning. I do this with firework for the 4th of July. 2 weeks before the 4th of July, I start playing fireworks sounds while my dogs are eating food out of a boom. I also have a big speaker system. At the end, on the 4th of July, it sounds like fireworks are going off in my house when they're eating 10 minutes of boom, all this crazy stuff, and they go outside, they don't even care about the sound of the fireworks, but it has to be very slow. What we're trying to do is have a positive experience where she has nothing but positivity, but nothing negative. And then we stack the next experience with no barking. Now, a lot of times what I do is I keep score. So like if I knock and give her a treat, that's 1, 2, 3, and let's say I get up to 10, and then I go to 11 and it's too loud and she barks. So now my score is 10 to 1, 10 positives to 1 negative. Our goal is to have 0 negatives. And we always want to end on a positive. So let's say we're doing something outside and you see one of your neighbors is approaching home. And we want to do 12 more reps, but we only have time to do 1. Do the 1, get her out of there. We want to end always on a success so that the next time she remembers, that was a fun activity. If she starts struggling and you get frustrated, she's not going to want to do it because you guys were frustrated. Now, I talked to a lot of my clients about this being a roller coaster. When you're on a roller coaster, that's a very intense experience, but you're sitting there not doing very much. If you're doing this right, it should look like Nala doesn't care. If Nala starts getting stiff, you're doing it wrong. We don't want to push her to fail. We want to just gradually give her a little bit more exposure to it, and then each time we do it, and not each time we do it, but as she shows that she's more comfortable, then we gradually raise the level of stimulus till eventually it's the real world deal. Now you can do this where I was showing you here, knock and treat, or if it's something that's a longer pattern like the beeping sound, you can have that beeping. The client I just left doesn't like the UPS truck. So I told him when the UPS guy comes, go outside with your phone, point the speaker at your phone, the mic at your phone, hit record, and just record. The truck rumbles up, it stops, squeaky brakes, one of her issues. So that would be a whole bunch of things. Then they stop, the door opens, you hear the guy fumbling stuff around, he curses a little bit, he drops your package, that's why it's broken when you get it from UPS. No, but he's doing all these steps, and so you're recording all these, and we can play those when the dog is eating. Now, if Nala is doing that, but as soon as she hears a break, she's like, it's off, I'm not eating anymore, then we would just isolate the break sound only and do the same thing with just the break sound. Now, brakes are gonna have different whistling sound for different types of cars. We want some variety of it. But the idea for this is we're gradually doing it slowly, stacking a positive experience on top of another one. Talk about the myelin sheath and the brain that I was talking about. After a way, the neural pathway is just like, I just ignore sounds and I'm eating food, or sounds mean I get food. So instead of being a negative, I look at it as a positive. So what I'd like the Guardians to do, they've already made a really good list. Pick 1 or 2 of those things at a time. And then just work on one of them. Maybe just start off with one of them. I don't know how, she's pretty fearful, so I don't want to overwhelm her. And pick one of them and get to the point where you can have squeaky brakes and it sounds like your neighbors are complaining, dude, do you have a car in your living room because it's breaking squealings, and she doesn't care. So then you cross that off your list. The next day you can start working on another one. Some dogs might do this I talked about the roller coaster, keeping this short. I mean, this is like maybe a 1-minute practice session, then let her go over, give her some belly rubs, let her chase the ball, chew on the collagen stick from Barkworthy's or whatever it is, and then a couple minutes later, come back and again, practice again. I would practice maybe 3 minutes in a stretch, but practice 1 minute, 2 to 5 minutes of a break, 1 minute, 2 to 5 minutes of break, 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes of break, and then we're done. And if you can, when you get done, do something she really loves. Rub her belly, play fetch, do whatever her fun stuff is. So I do a little bit of the scary work, and then something positive happens at the end. But again, if you're doing it right, it looks like you're not doing anything at all. Don't push and ask for too much criteria. So start off with maybe once a day. Then if she seems to do okay after the first day, the second time, do twice a day, 3 times a day. If you could, do 10 times a day, but we don't want to do it so many times that she starts resenting or not wanting to do it. So most of my clients are going to probably be in like the 2 to 4 or 5 times a day, provided she's comfortable and relaxed with it. Now, again, don't be afraid to, if the knocking here was too much, we could move her further away or have her do it in the next room. Same thing with like vacuum cleaners. I would have somebody in the other room turn the vacuum cleaner on and off and give her a treat. She doesn't hear the vacuum cleaner, it's so far away, I can't see it, but I hear that sound and I get a treat. So you can do this with a lot of different stimulus for the dogs. And the nice thing about this is you are gradually helping your dog get over a fear. If she has, I think the list was about 10 things. If you knock 10 of those things out, the quality of life improvement that we make for Nala is pretty substantial. Now, Nala may be a dog that might explore the benefit of medication. That can help this go a little bit faster as well. And sometimes the medication turns the stress level down low enough for me to practice, learn this lesson, then the medication goes away and this lesson stays. And now you've helped her, and now you got 10 things that she no longer is reactive to. All right, let's show it over there to her. This is my buddy Nala, and these are some tips and tricks you can use if you have a dog that is what we call sound sensitive.